Welcome to the Lioness Den.
Yes, I'd just like to introduce Steve from Vibronics, who's here on the show this weekend. Thank you very much for your time and for your insight. If you'd like to say a few words, Steve, to the King Dub community.
Well, I'd just like to say hello to everybody out there who's interested in dub and reggae, and looking forward to having a bit of a chat about the history of Vibronics and what we've got up to and what we're going to be up to over the next few months.
How did you get into the music, more importantly, reggae music?
Well, how I got into music was just through the love of listening to it, really. From a really young age, I was just totally fixated on music, you know, pop music and music sort of parents used to play at home and stuff. And when I was younger, I really got into the whole sort of like punk and kind of indie and rock scene and started to play in bands, doing stuff like that. And then I kind of, through that, I started to discover reggae stuff. And it was really when I moved to Leicester, where I live now, that I really got into the whole reggae roots dub, because there's a big history of it there, and you know, sound systems playing and all sorts of stuff, and you know, Caribbean community and everything. So that's kind of where it all started.
Right. And what influences your music? How are you inspired?
Well, I mean, what influences my music and what inspires me is, again, it's like the love of I love to make music, and I mean, music's kind of strange stuff because it's kind of, you know, you kind of pluck it out of nowhere and then suddenly you've got this sound coming out of your speakers.
Yeah.
And you know, it's quite a mysterious process to actually make music, because it always strikes me how you start with silence and then suddenly there's some music playing. You know, you've played a riff or put some drums down or something, and suddenly this thing kind of takes a life of its own. So what inspires me is, I mean, because I always listen to music and listen to so much different kind of music, then I guess in terms of a musician who's making music, it's kind of pulling on all those years and years of listening to stuff, and that kind of, I can hear it come out in my music, and it's kind of, you know, I think, well, that bit's from that kind of song or that kind of song. So it's primarily just the world of music that kind of that gets me.
Right, a nice mix and blend thing.
Yeah. And also, and the whole sound system thing, because at the end of the day, Vibronics music's really like sound system dub, and that's how I got to dub, was hearing it on big sound systems like Abashanti and Just Shaka and Iration and Tubbies and everyone. So when I'm making my music, I'm thinking of that environment and how it's going to sound when it's played on some huge system, and you know, with that kind of heavy bass and stuff. That's, you know, that's the kind of zone I like to get in.
Yeah. Well, you do have your own unique sound. When you hear a rhythm from Vibronics or Scoops, you know it's Vibronics. Tell me how you keep that spirit in the music.
Well, how I keep the kind of Vibronic sound is that I've always wanted to try and do something a little bit different, but it's a kind of combination of wanting to do pure like roots reggae sound system dub music. You know, I'm not really interested in making stuff that's like, you know, like dubstep or jungle or whatever. You know, I just want to make this kind of music.
Yeah.
But I'm influenced by so much other music. I don't, you know, I listen to loads of reggae, but I listen to loads of other stuff as well. And I think that helps me create something a little bit different. And plus, I'm always trying, because at the end of the day, dub music started off as being experimental music. You know, when King Tubby and Lee Perry were making it in the 70s, they were using the latest equipment and they were doing these crazy new techniques, and it was really quite experimental.
They were even using like plastic bottles and like tapping thing, making sound out of anything, you know.
Oh, that's it. Lee Perry was like, you know, recording the toilet flushing and cows mooing and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And King Tubby was like manipulating the equipment and kind of like sort of doctoring stuff to make it sound a certain way.
Exactly.
And for me, it's like I like to try and keep it, because you know, now we listen to those kind of old music and it sounds old because it was obviously done in the early 70s and stuff. But you have to understand that back then that was like super future music, you know.
Yeah.
and I like to try and keep an element of that spirit in my music by I like to try and keep it sounding futuristic and kind of out there and different and modern. And because there's a lot of dub being produced, I think there's a lot of dub being produced which is just trying to recreate the 70s, which is fine. I like some of that stuff, but for me, I'm more interested in stuff that's trying to look to the future.
Now, where do you see yourself then in 5 years, or where do you wish to be?
Well, I mean, there's a bit of a kind of road that, you know, I'm already on, and I've been doing it for 15 years or something.
Yeah.
And it's kind of led towards doing what I'm doing now, which is spending time in the studio, producing new music, working with new artists, working with established artists, and traveling the world, playing my music and meeting people who are into the music. And if I can carry on doing that and make some better music and go to some further and more interesting countries, then I'll have achieved what I want to achieve.
Worldwide domination.
Well, it's also just practically, it's like being a job. I mean, I could get a proper job, or I could be a musician, and I'd rather be a musician any day.
Yeah.
So as long as I can keep having that as my main job, then, you know, in 5 years' time, if I'm still doing it and enjoying it and traveling and doing everything, then, you know, I think I will be pleased that I've achieved that, because it's not easy in music, you know what I mean?
No, of course not. So where do you see the future of reggae music?
Well, I mean, it's always hard to predict the future, and it's kind of, there hasn't been any great changes in terms of the scene I'm in, this kind of UK dub scene. It's developed and got stronger, and I hope that continues. I think there could well be some new development from Jamaica, because Jamaican music, for me, has really gone down the pan in the last few years. There's been nothing that's really interested me coming out of Jamaica. Whereas there has been so much great music in the past, and some people have dismissed it, saying, oh, it's all over in Jamaica, which it could be, but then again, you know, maybe there'll be some new producers who'll start making something really amazing that's, you know, we could never imagine now.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's a possibility.
Have you ever been to Jamaica?
No, I've never been to Jamaica. I'd like to go. So I nearly planned a trip a few years ago, but just ended up getting busy and kind of never got around to it. But I will go on my reggae pilgrimage one day for sure.
Yeah, yes, so you spoke about touring around the world. What events have you got lined up for 2012 then? Where will you be visiting this year?
Well, all sorts. I mean, I'm going to Italy next weekend, and then the weekend after that I think it's in France, and then we've got more stuff in France, in Belgium, in Croatia, in Brazil, in the UK, I'd have to have a look at the list, but
busy the calendar.
Absolutely.
So where can your fans find out about the events and the calendar? How can they find out where you're playing at any given time?
Well, the best thing to do is to go to vibronics.co.uk, and the dates are kept up to date on there. And also, if they go to Steve Vibronics on Facebook, I sadly can't accept any more friends because I've had my 5,000, but people can sign up to my public updates, which means that when I spam people with information, which I like to do a lot, then they'll see, you know, events and all that kind of stuff. So
brilliant. And where can they buy your music?
Well, I mean, just about to release a new album, which is coming out on CD, and there's going to be 3 10-inch singles on vinyl as well, taken from the album. They'll be available in all your regular reggae record shops. Also, the whole catalogue is available digitally on iTunes and Amazon, and, you know, all the kind of download sites. And for those who've got a bit of money to spend, who are looking for the rare stuff, then occasionally the old rare stuff comes up on eBay, but, you know, the older stuff's really hard to find on vinyl.
Yeah, you're becoming a bit of a collector's now.
Well, everyone does. I think people collect vinyl, and the stuff from all the stuff we produce is pretty limited quantities, and most of it tends to stay in people's collections because, like, you know, I buy music and I don't tend to get rid of it. I tend to keep it, and that's how it is for most reggae fans. So if you're a new reggae fan, then or you just missed out on a certain release, if you want to try and find something from a few years ago, it's really hard to find. So it just pushes the price up.
Yeah. You were saying about your new album coming out. That's the French Connection album, I believe.
Yes, the French Connection. Yes.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about the artists you've worked with on this album and the experience and what to expect from the French Connection.
Well, it's an album so now the French Connection is an album of remixes that I've done of French dub tracks. We've been playing in France for years and seen this sort of dub scene develop in France, and to the point where the last few years it's come on really strong with, you know, big sound systems, great dub events, and a really healthy live scene of live dub as well. And we met loads of people, so, you know, we've been playing in France for years and years, so there's people who we've known for a long time there, people like, you know, Weeding Dub and Miniman, and then there's people we kind of met a few years ago, like, you know, OBF and Webcam Hi-Fi and people like that. And then there's kind of people we've met more recently, like Blackboard Jungle and Kanker and whatever. And we just wanted to involve all the people that we know on the dub scene, and just to kind of celebrate this, because we like playing in France, and France has been really good to us.
Right.
But the French scene really looked to the UK for dub as well. So there's a kind of two-way thing going on there. And I just wanted to celebrate that by doing this kind of, you know, across the channel collaboration.
Well, that's
really.
it. Unity, isn't it? It's really that.
Yeah, exactly. That's
what
it.
It's about.
Exactly, to celebrate this kind of international scene, and also, you know, I like to do something a bit different, and I kind of, you know, I thought I really enjoy doing remixes, because it's nice to you get sent some files, and it's quite an interesting starting point. You've got, you know, vocals or bits of music or whatever, and then I've kind of turned all those into like new Vibronics rhythms, which is something I really enjoy doing. So yeah, so, you know, I'm into the project.
So which is your favourite Vibronics rhythm then? What would you say?
My favourite.
Your favourite Vibronics rhythm. Your favourite rhythm.
I don't know. I mean, it's really hard to say. I mean, I've been lucky to have worked with some great singers, and yeah, I mean, yeah, I couldn't possibly say really, because the thing is, I tend to like the stuff I made yesterday. So, you know, I'd just say to anyone, just go and check it all out, really.
So tell me about the team that you work with, the artists that work with you in Vibronics.
Well, I'm lucky that I live in this little city called Leicester, and you know, there's a great reggae scene there, and I've managed to, you know, for years I've been working with these people that live there. People like Madhu Messenger and Echo Ranks and Parvez and Jarmania and Imitri and whatever. There's a kind of whole army of people who are into the roots and dub thing, and you know, we kind of share common interests in, you know, we're all really into the music, and we all come from this kind of sound system background, and yeah, you know, just lucky enough to work with these guys, really talented people, and really nice to go out there and like represent Leicester to people, because a lot of people think that all music comes out of London in the UK, and it's like, well, there's you know, there's Iration in Leeds, there's Dubcasm in Bristol, it's like there's people all over the country.
Exactly, yeah. We forgot to mention Sister in Boniel. I was wondering if you're going to do any more productions with any more female artists on the...
Well, it's funny, a lot of people have asked about Boniel, because the stuff that I recorded with her years ago, I mean, it's great, it's amongst my most favourite tracks, definitely. But she's not really into the kind of reggae thing so much anymore, so, I mean, it's not out of the question. I mean, we're still in touch, so we might do some stuff again in the future. And there's a few new artists I've been looking at working with, so, you know, you can watch out for, you know, some future female Vibronics vocals, definitely.
Brilliant, yeah, that gives us something to look forward to. That's great. So you said next week you'll be playing in Italy? Yeah,
down in Salento, which is in the sort of heel of the boot of Italy. They call it the Jamaica of Italy down there, actually.
Wow.
There's loads of sound systems, and it's totally chilled out, and they have parties on the beach, and it's kind of, especially in the summer, it's really, you know, kind of hot and tropical. And
nice. So that's something to look forward to next week. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And finally, before we say goodbye to Steve,
what is your message to the world?
My message to the world. Well, my message to the world is obviously, check out Vibronics music. We've all worked really hard on it, and it's nice when people appreciate that. And just come and enjoy it, and check out the sound system as well, because there's a whole load of different kinds of reggae music, but we're very much coming from the sound system kind of point of view. And I'd advise anybody to go and hear those big sound systems, to go and hear to hear Irish Steppers and Jar Tubbies and Abashanti and Josh Shaka, and just try and take in some of that vibe, because it's a unique way of experiencing reggae music, and it's the best way to hear dub.